in Mount Kisco, New York, which is right next to where Dr. Hayworth lives in Bedford Corners, and they had a huge illegal immigration problem. My friend who lives in Brewster, we have a huge illegal immigration problem. Every day in this district, we realize that we have a huge illegal immigration problem, and we see it on a daily basis. We have to have leaders in Washington that are going to do two things. We're going to close and secure the borders, and then simply send illegal immigrants back to their native countries. That's the first step that we have to do to secure our national security at home, because we're affected by that on a daily basis. Going back to 9/11, I work on Wall Street. I was there on 9/11. I walked through the dust. The dust was all over me, and I had to walk from my job to Grand Central to get home. The dust was all over me. Papers in the financial sector were hitting me in my face when I was walking down. And I realized at that moment, as I saw the debris, and as I was walking up town, I saw the look of fear in my fellow Americans' faces. And it was simply fear and shock of what occurred. I was down there. I saw that. And illegal immigration, and them being in our country on a daily basis, we have to secure home here first before we can worry about anything else. Because when we're affected on a daily basis, whether there's crime, whether there's rape, or there's drugs involved with illegal immigration, we have to stop it now and today. We have to know where the problem lies. And the problem lies there. My opponent wants them to stay. One of the greatest threats to our economy, because they're taking our jobs, and to us and our personal freedoms and liberties, she wants them to stay. I want them to go. It's simple, sound policy. If someone's committing an illegal act and you want them to stay here, that's wrong. That's why we have laws. And let me tell you something. The illegals that contributed on a daily basis that affect your lives every single day, remember that. Remember that my opponent wants them to stay. So when you walk outside and you're wondering where the job is, but you know what, an illegal farmer worker has that job that you can have because you want to support your family, but they have the job instead of you. Because as a father of 5, if I have no job, I'll work at any job to support my family. But if the illegals have my job, then we're in trouble.
There is some fear that the Voting Rights Act has been weakened by the courts. What do you think is the proper role of corporations and unions in American elections? Neil, that's the way it goes. We do a double header every time.
The Voting Rights Act and corporations involved, they deserve to have their voice heard. It's simple. When they did the Voting Rights Act, you know who they excluded, which a lot of people don't realize? Unions. So the unions decided to use all their power to crush candidates that disagreed with them, because they were allowed to do it. So common sense says if you're a business, you're a corporation, and someone attacks you like they would attack my family, you have a right to defend yourself. In the United States of America, everyone knows that you have a right to defend yourself. I have a right to defend my family. I have a right to defend life. I have a right to defend the United States Constitution. But when they come up with these acts to deliberately let one certain area control everything, it's wrong. It should be a level playing field. That's what we have to focus on. If a candidate is insulting you left and right, but you're not allowed to defend the business that you owned, and you can't do anything, it's wrong. It's a simple philosophy. The Voting Rights Act is not good. I 100% agree with the Supreme Court ruling, because and we have to focus on how things occur in this country. It has to have a level playing field at all times.
I think the question is referring to the Citizens United decision, which was rendered by the Supreme Court in January. And I support the Citizens United decision. I think it does make sense. I think corporations should be allowed to have a voice in political advertising, just as nonprofit organizations do, just as unions do. There is a challenge going on, and this relates again to the current administration and the current Congress. We do have an attitude that actively seeks somehow to antagonize business, to consider profit to be bad, to demonize big companies, to demonize those who actually have created a lot of the opportunities in this country. Our small employers and our entrepreneurs deserve to have their opportunities preserved and respected. We cannot have a class warfare attitude, as we're seeing when people talk about, the President talked today about preserving the 01 and 03 tax cuts only for people who make less than $250,000 a year. What he fails to recognize is that a lot of our small businesses, our family farms, privately held entities actually produce a lot of the investment and a lot of the opportunities in this country. So we see that attitude of antagonism from the smallest of our entities up to the largest ones. And it is a pernicious attitude because it means that there's a feeling that somehow we cannot allow our private sector to have all the opportunities to grow and to thrive as it should have. And again, it goes back to the theme of empowering the citizens, empowering our entrepreneurs, our small businesses, our employers, our family farms, and our bigger companies as well, to do what they do best and to have representation in the political arena that is not overwhelmed by the interests that are currently more favorable to the Democratic Party. And that tends to be the public sector unions and organizations that promote those causes. They deserve their voice too, but so do our entities that power the private sector. So I think we have to watch that attitude very carefully. And when we have a new wave in the Congress, I think you'll see a fresh empowerment of the private sector so that we will have better opportunities here. We need them.
What do you believe should be done by the federal government to reduce our use and dependence on fossil fuels, and spur on the use of clean energy? So basically your stance on global climate change.
I'm a scientist by background. I believe in looking at scientific evidence. I am someone who believes we should be great stewards of our environments. We have a magnificent country here. We have a magnificent county here. We want to maintain those beauties and those resources and husband them well. Unfortunately, of course, much of the science that has been used to support the theories about global warming appears to have been manipulated. It does not form a reliable basis for instituting national policies that could very well cripple our economy in various ways, by hampering investment, by reducing employment opportunities, by increasing your tax burdens and your cost of living. But there are better ways to approach the issue of clean, sustainable energy that do make sense and that will achieve a goal that I think the entire world would like to see, and certainly I think many Americans, most Americans would like to see, and that is, again, to preserve our environment as pristinely as possible. So I believe in the entrepreneurial and innovative and problem-solving power of the American people to come up with the best possible solutions to these challenges. One of the entities that I think would be the most useful would be to increase our use of clean nuclear power. And I think that's a very important resource that has been ignored for decades and needs to be brought more to the fore. The nation of France, in addition to having really good food, also uses about 80% of, it gets 80% of its power from nuclear plants. And they have done so in safety. And I think we need to look very hard at that option as a primary one, along with other clean sources. And we need to make sure that we understand and recognize that carbon fuels are going to be the mainstay for many, many years to come. We need to have successful exploration on our American shores. We need to be aware of the fact that politicization of the process can be a real problem. Ethanol in our gasoline fuels is actually a reasonable idea, but not when we pay a premium for it coming from the Midwest in a nod to farmers there who produce corn. And that was done on a political basis. So our decisions have to be made with the best interests of the American people at heart. I am confident they can be with a new attitude in Congress, and I am determined to enact and promote those solutions.
Man-made climate change does not exist. We all know that. Thousands and thousands of scientists, reputable scientists, say it doesn't exist. But the mainstream media hides that because they want to protect Al Gore and everyone who makes lots of money on it. So, the record, man-made climate change doesn't exist. It's a joke. The first thing we have to do, like Dr. Hayworth suggested, is we actually have to increase our nuclear power. But this is the key. Every candidate will go up to you throughout the country and say, we have to use clean nuclear energy. It's the best. It's cheap, blah, blah, blah. But it comes with a price. The price is fear. No one wants that in their backyard. That's the problem we face. It's very easy for us as candidates to throw out our bullet point and say we're for it and then walk away and hope you don't realize that when I knock on your door and I say, hello, New Windsor or Washingtonville, it's going to be right behind this high school. All right? It's a good idea, right? You're going to get that. So this is the thing. I, 100%, in fact, 1,000% agree that nuclear energy is safe, will be effective, and will lower our dependence on foreign oil. You have my word on that, on what I believe, that it's safe. But the question I have to ask you, and everyone in this country, is whether you're going to stand up to the special interests and say, I want that technology here in the 19th district, more than Indian Point. I want that because I want to make sure that we aren't going to be dependent on foreign oil and foreign interests. But you have to make that decision. You know where I stand. And if you, the voters of the 19th Congressional District, can get behind me and alongside of me with outstretched hands and say, Neil, I want you to promote clean nuclear power plants and let's get them online quickly. Obviously it takes like 30, 20, 30 years, but quickly, and you have my back, so I'm telling you the truth, it's not going to happen today. If you have my back, I will go in the corridors of Washington, D.C. and say, the 19th Congressional District is going to be the first district in this country that's willing to do the right thing for America.